to be embedded into the minds, the bodies, the heart, and the soul of the people. I know a secret. And that secret is if we can get you to internalize that message and that vision, it becomes yours. And when you understand the metaphysical properties of how men can harmonize and converge visions together, and you can get many people to focus on a singular vision, it is impossible for that vision to not be manifested because it will compete with the rest of the frequencies on the planet. But what is the vision of the original man? What is the vision of the original woman? And without a vision, we have no destination. We have no direction. See, this country was built upon a vision, right? We live in a country that has secret societies and orders, but we don't understand it completely. And if we did, we would be appalled at the system that we live in. You understand me? And so I've been doing my studies for years now, and uncovering things in my study is my specialty, especially utilizing the frequency of the number 19. You know, 9/11 was probably one of the most biggest shocking events that was witnessed by society. It changed the course of our story, right? And his story, right? Take away people's rights, the same rights that we thought we had rather. They minimized those as well. And what I studied during that time, because at that time I was looking, they said, man, it's 19 hijackers. You understand me? It happened on September 9th, right? And I said, I wonder if there are mathematical observations throughout history that reveal the secrets of these plans, because everything is by the numbers. And when you study the numbers, it leads you to a deeper revelation, right? I found this man, his name is William the Conqueror. He was a monarch of England, and his birthday was September 9th. And his family started in the year 9/11, his family lineage. And he was one of the first Norman kings to come over and conquest. Now, the reason that he's important is because he's done something at the time in history that no other man in the European lineage had done. And he created this book, and his book was called the Book of Doomsday. Now, when we hear doomsday, we think of multiple different things, but during that time, doomsday was talking about a judgment, and a judgment was talking about an assessment of a land, a survey, right? And what the judgment effectively had done was he took, being the king that came over and conquered, he had multiple names, William the Bastard as well, right? But what he did was he came over and he ordered his men to go out and make a record of every single thing that was on the land. And so if you lived on his land at that time and you had what was your own property, he would take that and put it under his name. Everything from down to the sheep, he took that to the circuit courts, the police, right? Every single thing. It was the most detailed survey in history and the most massive one that was done during that time, right? Now, why is this important? This is what we're going to get to figure out why the hell is this important, Keys. You understand me? And once you realize the importance of understanding how they built these worlds, then you start to have the ability to understand how to navigate in this world. So what he understood was that being that he came over in the manner in which he came, he would have to continue to fight in order to continue to conquer. And there's an old saying that the pen is mightier than the sword, right? The old saying that the pen is mightier than the sword, that he can go about fighting and trying to murder and conquer the land through what they call, conquest. And it will be very hard for him to maintain that. You have to lose men, you have to do multitudes of different things, and eventually somebody else with a bigger army will come over there and conquer. But he understood that if you created institutions, then you no longer needed to fight for space, right? He said, listen, we can fight for the space over here. How about I put all of this on record and I put this under what's called an allodial title, meaning it's the king's title. Now, how does this connect to you? Now, all of you all are connected and doing business and commerce under a system that was inspired by that very book that he wrote. How do I know this? And I'm going to prove it to you all. So you telling me that there was this man hundreds of years ago that created this book and created this system, and that same system is affecting you today. Okay, so think about this for a second. He had an allodial title, right? And he had a thing was called simple fee titles, right? So what happened is that imagine that I'm the king, but I got these different lords, right? That's what they called them. Those are the men that was in his ranks, right? Those are his lords. So he go grant some of his lords some land, right? Now they don't own it because they still have the king name as in record of things that under his title, but they can become landlords. The only difference though is this: they still have to come under the jurisdiction of the king, meaning they have to pay taxes, right? They have to abide by the laws, right? And they come under the jurisdiction of the police or the military. But they become landlords. Now, nobody in his kingdom can truly own anything because it's all owned by the king in his name, but they can essentially have access to it. Right. And then that landlord can have what? Tenants, the same way we have today. We have leasing, we have tenants, we are landlords, not even realizing these are European systems that we come under, and we have because we have access to land, but we still have to pay taxes on it forever. You get our little mortgages and we happy. They have things they call land patents, and it's a reason that if you own a building today and you trying to figure out how come I can't make these changes, right? They have all of these different ordinances to say that, no, you can't paint your house this color. The building can only be this tall. There's so many different things that you can't do on your own property. Why? Because you don't own first rights to that property.